You're watching live from New Delhi. This is DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I am Sakal Bhatt, and coming up in the next hour, Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi's helicopter makes emergency landing in foggy mountains during return from Azerbaijan visit. Bad weather hampers rescue efforts. Ahead of fifth phase of polling slated on Monday, all arrangements in place for 49 Lok Sabha constituencies spread over 6 poll-bound states and 2 union territories. Amid intense fighting in Rafah, ships carrying aid for Palestinians have seen approaching the US-built floating pier in besieged Gaza on Sunday. Ukrainian forces claim to have destroyed the Russian Black Sea Fleet minesweeper. Russian air attacks on Kharkiv kills at least 5. And Georgia's president vetoes foreign agent law that has sparked weeks of massive street protests in the country. The top story at this hour, a helicopter carrying Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi and his foreign minister made a rough landing reportedly on Sunday as it was crossing a mountainous area in heavy fog on the way back from a visit to Azerbaijan, according to Iranian news agency. The state news agency IRNA reported that the bad weather was complicated rescue efforts. The semi-official Fars news agency urged Iranians to pray for Raisi, and state TV carried prayers for his safety. The state news agency IRNA said the helicopter in question had been carrying Raisi, Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Bodolania and local officials. Interior Minister Ahmad Wahidi told state TV only that one of the helicopters in a group of 3 had come down hard and that the authorities were awaiting further details.
On the return journey, the president and others accompanying him were coming back in several helicopters. One of the helicopters was forced to make a rough landing due to bad weather conditions and fog in the area. Now various rescue teams are moving in a different direction of the area.
Fog and bad weather are hampering the rescue teams deployed in Iran's East Azerbaijan region to rescue the country's president on Sunday after a helicopter carrying Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi, the foreign minister and the local officials made a rough landing. This is what we know so far. My colleague Amritpal Singh has been tracking this story, joining us on phone line. Amrit, what all do we know now?
Crashed or made a hard landing. The state television of Iran is using the term an incident involving a helicopter in which President Raisi and the foreign minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahia was there, and there were some government officials, as you rightly said. They were traveling back from Azerbaijan, that is on the west of Iran. Both President Aliyev of Azerbaijan and the President Raisi were this morning jointly inaugurated a dam. And so this incident is said to have occurred in the East Azerbaijan, which is a province of Iran. So this incident is said to have happened on the Iranian territory. So there were 3 choppers. Bad weather, fog, heavy raids were in the region, and so the one helicopter lost contact. Of the fleet of 3, one of the helicopters contacted the central base and informed them that we are in peril. And after that, rescue teams have been rushed in the area, but because rescue is being hampered by bad weather, we don't know yet whether President Raisi is injured or anyone else is injured, what their condition is. But what is worrisome is that, it's been more than 4.5 hours, Sakal, that no contact has been established, no information is emanating. That's the cause of worry. But as you said, the more details are still awaited. So we don't exactly know the condition of President Raisi The Iranians are not confirming whether he's safe, but they're not saying anything more than that. So that's the information we have as of now.
Okay, so there are also reports quoting the Fars news agency. They have apparently urged the citizens of Iran, the Iranians, to pray for Raisi. And the state TV reportedly is carrying these prayers for his safety. Amrit. So there is this underlying, really not jumping the gun, but this is also an indication that, God forbid, there could be a bad news.
Yes. I mean, when prayers are being called and things like that and no information coming out after 4.5 hours, as I said, that's a cause of worry. But before anything can be said with certainty, whether any fatalities, any injuries have happened, one will have to wait for more information to emerge. And also, what you said about this. And the second thing, the rising tensions in Middle East between Iran and Israel, that puts a different spin on things. There is another angle that though these helicopters are tested, etc., but the fact remains that Iran flies a variety of helicopters, but international sanctions make it difficult for them to obtain parts. And most of the Iranian air fleet largely dates back to the 1979 Islamic Revolution.
Okay.
So, so the health of the fleet in terms of their operability is also in question. So all that put together does raise some worrisome questions, but everybody is waiting and watching for certain news to emerge, certainty on either side that what exactly transpired and what is the fate of the passengers of those ill-fated helicopters who either made a hard landing or crashed.
Okay.
We don't know as yet.
Okay, we have no such evidences as of now, Amrit, emanating. You've been tracking this of a situation, a crash situation. We don't know that.
A crash. They may call it an incident euphemistically, but it is a crash. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll have to really wait and watch what more official news emanates out of the current developing situation. Amritpal, meanwhile, thank you very much for sharing those details. We'll request you to please track this story for us and share as we get more information on this developing story. Thank you. Staying with this big story now, Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi was inaugurating a joint dam project. We can show you those visuals. Yes, a dam project with Azerbaijan on the shared border, hours before his helicopter made a rough landing in heavy fog on the return journey on Sunday. The helicopter carrying Raisi and his foreign minister crashed as it was crossing mountainous terrain, as we already mentioned earlier, in heavy fog on the way back from the visit to border with Azerbaijan. An Iranian official says the lives of the Raisi and foreign minister Hossein Amiradobillah were at risk following the helicopter crash. And now let's get you the latest on the world's largest democratic elections in India. Ahead of the fifth phase of polling on Monday, all arrangements are in place as far as the polls in the fifth phase are concerned. And the phase voting will be held in 49 Lok Sabha constituencies. These are spread over 6 states and 2 union territories. 14 seats of Uttar Pradesh, 13 seats of Maharashtra, 7 seats of Bengal, West Bengal, and 5 seats each of Odisha and Bihar, 3 seats of Jharkhand and 1 seat each in Jammu as well as Kashmir and Ladakh will go to polls. Over 9,47,000 polling officials will be deployed across 94,732 polling stations. Voting will begin at 7 a.m. and end at 6 p.m. local time. 35 assembly constituencies of Odisha Legislative Assembly will also go to polls on Monday. Basic facilities from ample shades to drinking water, ramps, toilets, wheelchairs, electricity are in place to ensure that every voter, including elderly and those with special abilities or disabilities, can cast their votes at ease. So far, the polling has concluded smoothly and peacefully in 379 parliamentary constituencies of 23 states and union territories in the first 4 phases of general elections 2024. These elections have registered a total voter turnout of about 66.95%. Campaigning is also on in full swing for the remaining 6th and 7th phases of parliamentary polls. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other senior BJP leaders held several public rallies across the nation. Meanwhile, opposition parties are also not leaving any stone unturned to woo the voters. With the election entering its final phase, the intensity of campaigning has reached a fever pitch as leaders from all parties make their final push to secure these votes. We have more details in this report.
Campaigning for the last 2 phases of India's parliamentary election continues to apace, with candidates ramping up their efforts across the country. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi was on a campaigning spree, holding 3 public rallies in West Bengal and 1 in Jharkhand.
घुसपैठिए बंगाल में जनसंख्या संतुलन बिगाड़ रहे हैं। कई इलाकों में हिंदू अल्पसंख्यक हो गए। दलितों, पिछड़ों, आदिवासियों की जमीनों पर घुसपैठिए कब्जा कर रहे हैं। हमारी बहन बेटियों की सुरक्षा खतरे में पड़ रही है। जहां जहां हिंदू अल्पसंख्यक हो गए हैं, जहां जहां घुसपैठियों के वोट बढ़ गए हैं, टीएमसी उन्हें अपनी सुरक्षित सीट मानती है।
Home Minister Amit Shah held 3 rallies, starting his campaign in Uttar Pradesh with 2 rallies in Prayagraj and Machli Shahar, followed by another rally in Champaran, Bihar later in the evening. Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh addressed a public rally in Raira Khol, Odisha, targeting the ruling BJD and Congress parties. The opposition parties are also leaving no stone unturned to woo the voters. Congress party leader Rahul Gandhi and Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav jointly attended a public rally in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh. Delhi Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party Supremo Arvind Kejriwal held a public rally in Badarpur supporting Aam Aadmi Party candidate for the South Delhi Lok Sabha seat, Sahiram Pehlwan.
मैं आपके बीच में जब भी चुनाव में आता हूँ, मैं आपसे वोट मांगता हूँ। मैं आपको कहता हूँ मैंने स्कूल बना दिए इसलिए वोट दो, मैंने अस्पताल बना दिए इसलिए वोट दो, मैंने बिजली फ्री कर दी इसलिए वोट दो, मैंने 24 घंटे बिजली कर दी इसलिए वोट दो, मैंने बुजुर्गों की तीर्थ यात्रा फ्री कर दी इसलिए। मैं लोगों को पकड़ पकड़ के जेल में नहीं डालता, मैं नेगेटिव राजनीति नहीं करता।
Rashtriya Janata Dal leader Tejaswi Yadav held 2 rallies in Goraul and Riga constituencies of Bihar. While in West Bengal, TMC leader Abhishek Banerjee addressed a public rally in Ghatal, West Bengal in support of the party's MP candidate Deepak Adhikari. With the election entering its final phases, the intensity of campaigning has reached a fever pitch as leaders from all parties make the final push to secure votes.
Let's go across live to team of DD India reporters reporting consistently from ground from Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh, which is gearing up for a very high-profile 5th phase. Tapash Bhattacharya joining us from Temple Town, Ayodhya. My colleague Kriti joining us, and Salman Haider joining us from Patna in Bihar. Tapash, coming to you now. There are some, very high-profile seats that are in fray, on which we see a very tight and high-octane contest. Tapas is joining us from Lucknow. So give us a sense as to tomorrow, when the electorate votes in Lucknow and elsewhere in UP also, particularly in Lucknow, that being the capital, the issues that are going to be very, very decisive.
Absolutely, and there are many issues that are there. One of the major issues in Lucknow is the security. In fact, when we spoke to a lot of people, they said that development has been there and for a long period of time, but successive governments, its center of power in Lucknow has always been the center of power. So the development has been there, irrespective of whosoever party comes to the power. But the point that has been eluding them for a long period earlier was the security aspect. And when we spoke to some people, they believe that in the last few years, the security aspect in Lucknow, and for that matter in other parts of the state, has improved drastically. So that is one major point that they spoke. In other areas, let's say Amethi, let's say Rai Bareli and other areas, that the development issue is a major one. In Rai Bareli, we have seen the Gandhi Parivar, the Gandhi passion. It's you can easily call it a Gandhi pocket bro. But the development has eluded them, especially in the last 10 to 15 years. If you take a close look at the area, you will realize that it is a far cry from what it should have been. Many of the industries we have been there. Many of the industries, ITIs were closed down, and there is no job guarantee or development per se and in that particular area. And so that's something that a lot of people have been talking about. So whether that talk will translate into vote, that remains to be seen. But those are some of the major issues that has plagued these areas. And remember, 14 parliamentary constituency will go to polls tomorrow. And just to put it in perspective, 2019, when the last time the general election took place, BJP won 13 out of the 14 seats. And this time also they are very keen to repeat that performance again. If BJP wants to attain the number that they have been talking about, the 400 magical number that they've been talking about, these phase, the fifth, sixth and seventh phase in UP will be very crucial. 41 seats out of the 80 seats will be going to the polls in the next 3 phases, and it will be imperative for BJP to make the most of it. Now, out of the 14 parliamentary seats, 144 candidates will be vying to make their mark. And as I mentioned earlier, this is not going to be easy. The voters have a lot on their plate. They will think there will be a sizable number of silent voters who will make their mind once when they reach the polling booth, and it will be interesting to see where the shift happens when they vote.
We see a very strong pitch made by the opposition there. Congress and SP joining hands this time, and BSP deciding to go solo to dislodge the Yogi government. But it seems that the current dispensation is trying its best to have this transformation of Uttar Pradesh, development. So this development agenda, do you think it's holding much sway? As you rightly mentioned, that why UP is so critical when it comes to the seat of power in Delhi. It has to come via UP only.
Well, we always mention the fact that the route to Delhi, the capital, and the route to the power of controlling India will go through UP. It has 80 seats, and whosoever controls UP will have a sway over Delhi and vis-a-vis the whole of the country. But just to put into perspective, the last time around we saw how the India, for that matter, the alliance with the Congress and SP fared. Just to put into perspective, BJP won 62 out of the 80 seats. In 2014, they won 71 seats. And last time around, Samajwadi Party could only win 5 seats. Congress, I think, managed to win only 1 seat. So remember, in terms of the way the seat sharing is concerned, the way seats are done, both these parties, both SP, BSP, and for that matter, Congress, they have their own set of supporters. But we have to take into consideration the fact that Modi magic was there in 2019. Will Modi magic work again in 2014? That remains to be seen. And I won't believe that a lot will be.
Yes, the double-edged
Sarkar. Yes, that actually works. And somewhere down the line, people like, for instance, as I mentioned, Rai Bareli, we spoke to some of the
Tapash, I'm sorry, I'll have to really cut it short here.
We really want.
Let's quickly take this fact to our colleague who's joining us from UP itself in Ayodhya, the temple town of Ayodhya, Kriti Vadera. Kriti, now Ayodhya also gears up for a very crucial 5th phase. Opposition we have seen in the recent past trying to rake the Ram Mandir inauguration, unnecessarily making it a poll issue. But overall, what's the sense you're getting? It is obviously the way Ayodhya has come up in terms of development paradigm, and that's going to be one of the prime focus in these 5th phase of polls.
Well, greetings to you, Sakal, from the temple town Ayodhya. And let me tell you, throughout the time of convincing campaigning, when it comes to Faizabad parliamentary seat, we were here. And here in Ayodhya, the election campaign was very silent. As if it appeared that BJP is rest assured when it comes to Ayodhya as seat. And the two-time member of parliament, Lallu Singh, is fielded here, and he appears to be very confident for his win, to make a hat-trick on this seat as history. And when it comes to the establishment of Lord Ram Temple, see, people of Ayodhya are very happy with the fact, and not just it belongs to people of Ayodhya, but India-wide and globally, I would say that Ayodhya appears to be the travel destination for all devotees who people want to come to see Ayodhya and the transformation this city has got. You yourself know the pulse of the city. You have been here. So it is transformed. It is revamped entirely. If I talk about the infrastructure, it's so enormous. I can see development everywhere, right from the state highways to the national highways.
To the airport.
This small temple town is being connected to major cities. But still, when I was walking down on the lanes of Ayodhya near Saryu river, I got young voters with me and I was talking to them. So there are two major issues when I talk about the major issues to be faced in this election. One is health and the second is education.
Okay.
So for every small reason, the people of Ayodhya have to rush to Lucknow in case of any emergency. They need good medical facilities within Ayodhya itself, within their town.
Okay.
They need good colleges, good universities to be established here, so that they don't have to move out of their town for their livelihoods. So this is the kind of scenario we have faced amongst voters. And of course, they would be keeping all this in their mind before
when
going
they
to
vote
for in tomorrow morning.
Yes. Okay, Kriti, stay with us. Salman Haider coming to you quickly, joining us live from Patna. So give us a perspective as far as the keenly contested fifth phase in Bihar is concerned.
Good evening, Sakal. This fifth phase in Bihar involves 5 seats of Mithilanchal and North Bihar. All these seats have been with the NDA last time, and there I don't think any further change in it. But contest is tough this time, as some new faces are there. NDA has fielded Raj Bhushan Nishad from Muzaffarpur, who is new here, and in Hajipur, the Chirag Paswan's prestige is at stake to retain his father's legacy there, because late Mr. Paswan used to win the seat with huge margins. Sometimes it became Guinness record one time. So there are challenges, and issues are mainly unemployment and migration. Because during the COVID time also, a lot of migrant labor came back, and those unemployed youth are there. So there are challenges, and at most of the seats there is a two-way fight here.
All right.
Yes, Sakal.
All right, on that, we'll have to wrap it up here. Thank you very much, Tapash Bhattacharya from Lucknow, and Kriti from Ayodhya, and Salman Haider from Patna in Bihar for joining us. Team of DD India reporters tracking all the electioneering pulse. And now let's shift our focus to the Union Territory of Ladakh, which also seems to be all set for the polling on Monday for its single parliamentary seat. Now, as India's largest parliamentary seat with remote areas and high mountains, deployment of polling parties has been carried out over the last couple of days by even using Indian Army helicopters. DD India's Gautam Roy has spoken with the Ladakh's Chief Electoral Officer Yatendra M. Maralkar about all the measures which have been put in place to ensure record polling in the Union Territory, despite some concerns.
India's largest parliamentary constituency by area, Ladakh, is ready for polling on Monday. And what sort of arrangements have been made to ensure free and fair and record turnout as well? We have to answer those questions Yatendra M. Maralkar. He's Chief Electoral Officer of Ladakh. Thank you for speaking to us, Mr. Maralkar. What can you tell us about the kind of arrangements you've made to ensure that there's record-breaking polling on Monday?
This election, we are fully prepared for Lok Sabha election. And total we are having 1,82,571 voters for Leh and Ladakh. And we are having 577 polling stations. And we are trying to reach each and every voters so that we get maximum polling percentage in these elections. In the year 2019, we were having polling percentage was around 70%, and we are expecting this time polling percentage at around 75 plus or 80 plus polling percentage. We are having polling station at remote areas like Vashi, where there are only 5 voters. But it is our responsibility that we reach to each and every voter and take their vote so that our democratic setup is protected. So we are fully prepared for this election.
What's been the most challenging aspect, the remoteness, and is there anything apart from that?
We are having many hilly areas here, and if you see the height of this thing also, many polling stations at a very high altitude. So this time we have used around 25 sorties to reach to each and every polling station, and we are having around 5 P-3 polling stations, and these polling parties we have dispatched 2 days back through sorties.
So a lot of effort, as you heard, has been put to ensure that there's a record turnout come Monday in Ladakh for the parliamentary elections. With camera person Naveen Kumar Jha, this is Gautam Roy, Leh, Ladakh, DD India.
And my colleague Gautam joins us live from Leh in Ladakh as well as from Bongao in West Bengal. The Bendu, my colleague, is also joining us. Gautam, coming to you first now, taking a cue from your exclusive conversation with the Chief Electoral Officer. A quick roundup of the, the arrangements. He's anyway spoken about it, but what's the sense you've really, spent most of your week traveling, crisscrossing Kargil, Leh, and, the larger election pitch made by, though it's a single seat. But ensuring that there is a good voter turnout in those far-flung areas of Ladakh. That seems to be the prime concern of the Election Commission there, the apparatus there.
Well, yes, I could definitely. And good evening, first of all, and Julie as well. What the Election Commission and the Office of the Chief Electoral Officer has done has been a massive effort, because you've had cases where himself, the Chief Electoral Officer himself, has gone out and invited people to come on polling day and cast their vote and ensure that there's a massive turnout as well. Even on Monday, when the polling is on, there are plans to just go around and greet people and even surprise them with a gift.
Okay.
If they turn up, if it's an elderly person or a person with disabilities or a young voter, that is also a plan there, and that is something that has been put out there for the people to consider as well. And people who have been visited in this manner have been very, very pleased, and they are very, very enthused about taking part in this democratic exercise that India has been having, the most massive exercise in the world. And this exercise is taking place in the case of Ladakh in the biggest constituency in the country as well in terms of area. At one time, when Ladakh was part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir,
yes,
it was almost 3/4 of that state. Even Leh is one district, Kargil is another. Leh is massive. It goes up to China, and if you talk about Kargil, there's Pakistan-occupied Kashmir on the other side, so extremely strategic as well, and that's why it is the development that has been taking place, that is a strategic in nature. That is something that the people of Ladakh have been considering. The other is the carbon neutral goal for 2050, over which a lot of activity has been taking place, not just mega solar power plants, but EV buses in Leh and Kargil going to all over the places. A hydrogen fuel plant is being set up here in Leh as well. So medical colleges have been announced as well. So lots of things to consider for the people before they decide finally who to vote for. 3 candidates in the fray, like I've been saying. So the choice is not very wide, but still it can cause a lot of confusion with the kind of aspirations that the people have, very strong regional aspirations as well.
Yes, strong regional aspirations. Let's quickly go across to now Dubendu. 7 seats of West Bengal. So what's the pitch like for tomorrow?
Well, Sakal, very good evening from here in West Bengal. Of course, 7 crucial seats going to polls tomorrow. All stakes high for both the Trinamool Congress as well as the BJP. It's a direct contest between the two parties here. Of course, the CPIM and the Congress are also contesting, but electors, the electorate here have almost discounted these two parties here in West Bengal. But it's an interesting contest. Particularly where I am in the Bangaon Lok Sabha constituency, it's a direct contest between the sitting Union Minister of State, Shantanu Thakur, versus the TMC turned BJP turned TMC MLA, former MLA of the TMC, now a former MLA from the BJP, now TMC, Bishwajit Das. The key issue perhaps in this particular constituency is the Citizenship Amendment Act. Because remember, Sakal, in 2019, the BJP promised to this electorate in Bengal that the Citizenship Amendment Act will be passed in the parliament. It fulfilled the promise in 2019. In 2024, it was implemented by the government. And now it is, of course, a very strong litmus test for the BJP to see whether this Citizenship Amendment Act, which promises to give citizenship to the refugees that migrated from Bangladesh, then erstwhile East Pakistan, will it bring electoral gains for the BJP?
Or not,
Also, the Hooghly Lok Sabha constituency, where two contemporary actors of the Bengali cinema, Lockit Chatterjee, sitting member of parliament of the BJP, is contesting against her former colleague, Rachana Banerjee, is also a Bengali actress. This particular constituency is extremely important, Sakal, because of the fact that Singur, where the Tata Nano plant was supposed to be set up, and the Trinamool Congress government's protest led to the downfall of the left, and the rise of Mamata Banerjee will be going to polls tomorrow. But I have been there, Sakal. There have been not much development. The people complain that they had done a mistake then by driving the Tata away from Bengal, because that particular part of Bengal still remains
devoid of development
over the last couple of days. Yes, of course. So, it will be an interesting contest because two strong faces are contesting there this time around. Also, the other seats that are also important, and both the BJP as well as the Trinamool Congress have been pushing enough to ensure that all the votes are come in their respective cities. Back to you, Sakal.
All right. Many thanks. The India team there, Gautam joining us from Leh and Dubendu joining us from Bangaon in West Bengal. Thank you. You have a very busy day, both of you up here tomorrow. Meanwhile, thank you so much for joining right now. And now let's take a look at other stories that are making news. The India Met Department or Meteorological Department on Sunday held out no immediate respite from searing and scaling heat wave. The department issued a red alert in Delhi informing that the temperatures can range between 28 to 44 degrees Celsius. In other news, rain lashed several parts of Thoothukudi area of southern state of Tamil Nadu, giving huge respite from the ongoing heat wave to citizens. Met Department has issued warning of moderate rainfall with thunderstorms over the next 7 days in the southern states. India's Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan visited Prayagraj based Central Air Command. CDS was briefed at the headquarters about the operational aspects of the Central Air Command. CDS Chauhan emphasized on maintaining the desired standards of readiness and alertness. A capsule for Army Martial Arts routine training was conducted at the Punjab Regimental Centre. The Agniveers were trained on hand-to-hand combat techniques and tactical manoeuvres, thus emphasizing on Army Martial Arts as an important part of their training. And before moving on, let's do a quick recap of the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi's helicopter makes emergency landing in foggy mountains during return from Azerbaijan visit. Bad weather hampers rescue efforts. Ahead of the fifth phase of polling slated on Monday, all arrangements in place for 49 Lok Sabha constituencies spread over 6 states and 2 union territories. Ukrainian forces claim to have destroyed Russian Black Sea Fleet minesweeper. Russian air attack on Kharkiv kills at least 5 people. And in latest on Russia-Ukraine, Russian strikes on Sunday have reportedly killed at least 10 people and injured as many as 25 in two separate attacks in Kharkiv region in Ukraine. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Navy has claimed that it sunk Russia's Black Sea Fleet minesweeper in an overnight attack. Here's a report by DD India's Faiz Khan.
The ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine continues with fresh Russian strikes on Ukraine's Kharkiv region, resulting in loss of 10 lives, while 25 others sustained injuries in two separate attacks. President Volodymyr Zelensky reiterated his appeal to Western allies for additional air defense systems to safeguard Kharkiv and other Ukrainian cities. The war can stop Russian terror attack, and to do so, the lack of political will among leaders must be overcome. The Patriots for Kharkiv will make a fundamental difference. Air defense system for other cities and sufficient support for soldiers on the front line would ensure Russia's defeat. In a separate development, the Ukrainian Navy claimed to have destroyed Russian Black Sea Fleet minesweeper Kovrovets on Sunday. Ukraine also launched a drone attack targeting Russian territory. The assault purportedly forced the shutdown of an oil refinery in southern Russia. In retaliation, Russian authorities shot down at least 103 drones, including 62 over Russian regions. Faiz Khan's report for DD India.
In news coming from Georgia, President Salom Zourabichvili of Georgia has wielded her veto power to block the passage of the highly contentious Foreign Agents Bill despite its approval by the country's parliament earlier this week. The bill, which sparked massive street protests and drew criticism from the Western governments, has been at the center of a heated debate over its potential impact on civil society and media freedom in Georgia.
The passing of foreign agent law has sparked massive street protests in Georgia and drew criticism from Western governments. Subsequently, Georgia's President Zourabichvili's veto represents a significant setback for the ruling Georgian Dream Party, which had championed the bill despite vocal opposition.
I vetoed the Russian law. This law is Russian in its essence and its spirit. It contradicts our constitution and all European standards. Therefore, it represents an obstacle to our European path. From the legal point of view, this veto has no problems and this veto will be transferred to Parliament. This law is not subject to any changes and no improvements, and therefore this is a very simple veto. This law must be repealed.
The President's decision may not be final, as Parliament retains the authority to override her veto through another vote.
The protesters are there in the streets. They are demanding not to pass this law, but the government can easily override the veto by the president. And the president has also said that she will be trying to do everything possible to unite the opposition. If united, that could obviously be given some sort of more leverage to not to pass this bill. But this is unlikely to happen.
The proposed bill sought to impose stringent regulations on non-governmental organizations, NGOs and media outlets receiving substantial financial support from foreign donors. Under its provisions, organizations exceeding 20% of their funding from abroad would be compelled to register as entities potentially influenced by foreign interests. Comparisons drawn between the proposed legislation and Russia's foreign agent laws spark concern, but supporters argue the bill is essential for transparency and safeguarding sovereignty against foreign influence. The United States has been amongst the most vocal critics of the bill, expressing grave concerns about its implications for Georgia's democratic trajectory and hinted at potential repercussions. A coalition of European Parliament members has called for a suspension of Georgia's EU candidate status. As Georgia grapples with the aftermath of President Zourabichvili's veto, the fate of the Foreign Agents Bill remain uncertain. With domestic tensions running high and international scrutiny intensifying, the coming days will be crucial for the country.
And now let's take a quick look at the other stories that are making news around the world. Hundreds of residents were forced to evacuate their homes as spring floods hit Russia's northern region, Yakutia. According to the authorities, there were no casualties reported in the floods, but there has been a significant damage to the infrastructure as well as some cattle was found dead. Elon Musk and Indonesian Health Minister Budi Gunadi has launched SpaceX satellite internet service for the nation's health sector on Sunday. The internet service aims to improve access in remote parts of the sprawling archipelago. Two people were killed and 5 others missing after a suspected collision involving a small motorboat and a cruise ship in the Danube River in Budapest on Saturday. Police have launched a criminal investigation against an unknown perpetrator to determine the cause of the incident. Hundreds of people protested in central Madrid on Sunday against a rally organized by Spain's Vox Party ahead of the European election next month. French far-right leader Marine Le Pen and Argentina's newly elected president Javier Milei were among those who attended the rally. The fighting between Israel and Hamas continues as Israel forces claim significant operations in eastern Rafah, killing numbers of Hamas militants. Meanwhile, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan heads to the region amidst U.S. calls for a more focused military approach. While ships carrying aid approach Gaza amid the ongoing conflict, Rabindra Chauhan gets us more. As the fighting between Israel and Hamas continues, Israeli army on Saturday released footage of what it says are operations in eastern Rafah. According to the Israeli military, troops conducted targeted raids and killed at least 80 Hamas militants operating in the area. On the other hand, amid U.S. calls for a more focused military campaign, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan traveled to the region. U.S. Congresswoman Elsie Stefanik criticized President Joe Biden's policy on Israel on Sunday, saying there is no excuse for Biden to pause shipments of weapons to Israel over U.S. allies' attacks on Rafah.
I have been clear at home, and I will be clear here. There is no excuse for an American president to block aid to Israel, aid that was duly passed by the Congress. There is no excuse to ease sanctions on Iran, paying a $6 billion ransom to the world's leading state sponsor of terror, or to dither and hide while our friends fight for their lives. No excuse, full stop.
Meanwhile, ships carrying aid for Palestinians were seen approaching the U.S.-built floating pier in besieged Gaza on Sunday. Aid deliveries began arriving at the pier on Friday. While at home and abroad, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has faced criticism for failing to articulate an endgame for the release of hostages.
Very, very sad. The entire situation is sad. My heart goes out to those families who received the news yesterday that their loved ones are not alive. Time is not on our side. Time for a long time already has not been on our side. They must come home now.
Thousands of protesters rallied in Tel Aviv on Saturday demanding the release of around 130 hostages still held in Gaza. This growing pressure on Netanyahu underscores the complexities of managing both internal dissent and external diplomatic challenges amid the ongoing conflict. Ravinder's report for DD India. So, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is in Israel for meetings with the Prime Minister and other senior officials after talks with Saudi Crown Prince earlier on Sunday. Israeli officials are expected to try and get the green light for an expanded operation in the southern city of Rafah in Gaza, where hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians have fled from since the ground offensive began. Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
Well, according to the Israeli military, heavy fighting is continuing at a number of places across the Gaza Strip, also saying that yesterday the military killed a senior Hamas operative in an airstrike. He's believed to be one responsible for smuggling large amounts of weapons and also cash to Hamas. Now, the military says that intense clashes are happening between its forces and Hamas fighters in and around the Jabalia refugee camp, with the military saying that it's found weapons, rocket launchers and other tunnel shafts in that area. Now, a little earlier this morning, a number of rockets were fired into Israeli territory in this Gaza border community of Sderot. A number of these were intercepted by the Iron Dome missile defense system. We do understand they did come from the northern part of the Gaza Strip. What comes is there's real division here in Israel on the ground and also inside Israeli politics. The War Cabinet member Benny Gantz, he is threatening to quit the government if the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't produce a plan on the way forward by the 8th of next month. Now, he's laid out a 6-point plan that he wants to see. This is the return of hostages, the demilitarization of the Gaza Strip, also the creation of an international coalition that would govern the Gaza Strip the day after the war, the return of residents to these northern border communities. We do need to remember that there are some 80,000 people who are still internally displaced. Saudi normalization also is something that Benny Gantz wants to see, and also a framework for everybody here in Israel under a certain age to serve in the military, including the ultra-Orthodox community. Now, this comes as there were mass protests in Israel overnight, thousands of people turning out to say that they want to see the return of these remaining 124 hostages that are in the Gaza Strip, also calling for the resignation of the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, according to police, there were some people arrested. They have since been released, but this really underscores the growing divisions and really the nature, the fractious nature of the current situation right now on the ground in Israel. Reporting from Tel Aviv, I'm Sarah Coates for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour, coming up next. This is what we have for you. Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC's armed forces have repelled an attempted coup involving Congolese and foreign fighters. In badminton, India's Satvik Sairaj and Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty clinched the Thailand Open Super 500 title. And in the Italian Open, Iga Swiatek beat Ariana Sabalenka 6-2, 6-3 to lift her third title.
We are in Cannes, the famous city on the French Riviera. The 77th edition of the Cannes Film Festival is here. So soak into 12 days of world cinema and the hottest fashion trends. The famous 24 steps leading to the Palais des Festivals, where most of the cinema at this festival is screened, are beckoning. Join me, Munmun Bhattacharya, as I take you through all the buzz around the festival and on India's participation in it, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and now let's move on to this story. The Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC, their armed forces have repelled an attempted coup involving Congolese and foreign fighters on Sunday morning. A spokeswoman for President Felix Tshisekedi also confirmed that the presidential palace has been attacked on Sunday morning, but the army had retaken control. The United States Embassy issued a security alert on Sunday, warning of ongoing activity by the DRC security elements and reports of gunfire in the area. So the Democratic Republic of Congo's armed forces reportedly managed to repel an attempted coup, which involves the Congolese and foreign fighters, and this incident took place on Sunday morning. As per the spokeswoman of the President, Felix Tshisekedi, they've also confirmed that the presidential palace in DRC has been attacked in early hours on Sunday morning. But there are also reports emerging that the army has retaken control. And Chris Okamringa joins us from the Congo's capital, Kinshasa. So what more information can you share us, joining us from Kinshasa? And is the situation brought under control as far as the reported attack on the presidential palace by these rebels are concerned?
Yeah, so the DRC Army spokesperson said that the situation is under control and urged people to go about their business. He said they have already arrested the coup plotters, and he said that there were some foreigners and Congolese citizens among the people they arrested. We have been reliably informed that some of them were American citizens, and the United States ambassador to the DRC has posted on X, formerly Twitter, expressing shock about this discovery and saying that they will cooperate with the Congolese authorities to ensure that the perpetrators of this criminal act are held to account. And so many Congolese people are very upset, disappointed about this news, coming just about 5 months after the country held an election and where President Felix Tshisekedi was voted by a landslide. But, hours after the news from the military officers, things, went back to normal. We have been moving around the city, seeing people, hundreds of people lining up to attend a music concert, others, going about their business. So although there is tension in Kinshasa, the situation has gone back to normal.
Okay, the situation is normal in Kinshasa from where you're joining us live. Thank you very much, Chris Okamringa, for joining us with those details. Moving on now, Indian spiritual guru Sri Sri Ravi Shankar received the first stamp released commemorating of completion of 200 years of Indian origin Tamils in Sri Lanka. Governor of Eastern Province of Sri Lanka, Senthil Thondaman, presented the stamp to Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. While addressing at the event, Sri Shankar said the connection between the two countries are cultural and goes beyond the political borders.
The connection between the two countries goes beyond the political arena. It is culturally, philosophically united from long time. The two great philosophies of India, one is the Ramayana, the 7th century BC when Sri Ram came to Sri Lanka, and that is still very much green and etched in the entire subcontinent.
Governor of Eastern Province, Thondaman, also thanked Indian government for the assistance given to the Indian origin Tamils community.
Thank the Indian government because they have been a part of developing us in Sri Lanka to an extent where we are today.
Over in badminton, India's Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty have won the Thailand Open Super 500 title, beating the Chinese pair of Chen Boyang and Liu Yi 21-15, 21-15 on Sunday. It was the Indian pair's second title of the year and seals their return to the world #1 position again. They had won the French Open Super 750 in March, and the duo had also finished the runner-up at the Malaysia Super 1000 and the India Super 750. The duo had previously claimed its first major title in Thailand in 2019. In the Italian Open, Iga Swiatek beat Ariana Sabalenka 6-2, 6-3 to win her third title on Saturday. The pole came out on top. On the top once again in a battle between the top two in the women's rankings following her Madrid Open triumph earlier this month. Swiatek broke Sabalenka's twice in the first set, where the Belarusian conceded 12 unforced errors in a lopsided start to the match. Sabalenka fought back, reaching 5 break points in a bid to lead 2-0 in the second, but Swiatek had her own nerve and Sabalenka failed to break again, with Swiatek holding her nerve to save 2 break points on her next serve. The set progressed 3-3 before the pole broke again in back-to-back games this time, ensuring her path to win. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Sakal Bhatt from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you so much for watching DD India Live.